Okay, I think we've got close to 100 people signed up here now. A good time to get started, and some others may be joining us. So happy Hanukkah, 8th day of Hanukkah, and happy holidays to everyone out there. And welcome to the first edition of the Save a Child's Heart Business Roundtable Zoom, Winning and Giving. Today featuring our esteemed benefactor and business leader, Sylvan, who is in Montreal. We're going to kick things off with a short video about Save a Child's Heart. It's about 3 minutes long. Then I'll introduce Dr. Lior Sasson, our head surgeon at Save a Child's Heart. Sylvan will speak to us for about 30 minutes. This will be a Q&A format. And then Ben Fetter will close us out. He's our New York City board member. Sylvan's in Montreal, Lior and myself are in Tel Aviv right now, and Ben is in New York. So we welcome everyone. There's a little bit of a echo. There, we got that taken care of. So we're going to start off with a short video about Save a Child's Heart. And Brianna Fowler is helping coordinate all of this. So Brianna, you can go ahead and kick it off. Thanks. We don't have sound. Let's give it one more shot here. There we go, perfect. When you're too love to let it go, but if you never try, you'll never know.
After so many years of conflict, of course, people get frightened. They don't know the other side. So they get here, they see how much Save a Child's Heart care about them, and they get the help. So the fear disappears. And at the end of the day, they see that we all are people.
We are very thankful. Save Child's Heart brought my happiness to my family, to my heart. Thank you.
I'm very grateful to be the first pediatric surgeon to go back to Ethiopia and then give back his training that I received here in Israel, back to my country and back to the kids who live in it.
Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. Thank you, Brianna. And actually today, Save a Child's Heart has treated more than 5,600 children from 62 countries and trained more than 140 medical team members. And currently in Israel, we have over 30 children from Ethiopia, Zanzibar, Tanzania, Ivory Coast, Gambia, Romania, the West Bank, and Gaza, and 12 doctors in training from Ethiopia, Tanzania, Zambia, the West Bank, and Gaza. So that's today. And to hear a little bit more about Save a Child's Heart, before we have our main speaker, we're going to introduce Dr. Lior Sasson. Dr. Sasson earned his MD in 1986 and then joined the Department of Cardiothoracic Surgery, easy for you to say, at the Edith Wolfson Medical Center in Israel for a 6-year residency. Between 1998 and 2000, Dr. Sasson did a fellowship in pediatric cardiac surgery at the Motts Children's Hospital at the University of Michigan. Upon his return to the Wolfson Medical Center, Dr. Sasson became Dr. Ami Cohen, the founder of Save a Child's Heart, his assistant in the pediatric cardiac unit, as well as lead surgeon in the adult cardiac department. Upon Dr. Cohen's untimely and tragic death in August of 2001, Dr. Sasson took on the role of head of the pediatric cardiac unit, as well as lead surgeon of Save a Child's Heart. In May 2007, Dr. Sasson became the chief of the entire cardiothoracic department, and Dr. Sasson is a lecturer at the Sackler School of Medicine in Tel Aviv University. So, Dr. Sasson, tell us a little bit about how things have been at Save a Child's Heart this past year during the corona pandemic. And
hi, everybody. Hi, Jeff. It's Hanukkah now, so happy Hanukkah for everybody. Hanukkah is a holiday of miracles, and sure we need this miracle in this challenging time of COVID-19, which actually started at probably at the end of February, when we just all heard about the bad news of this horrific virus that is hitting all the world, and it came to Israel as well. And we had to reconsider all the things that we are doing. Usually we're bringing a lot of children to Israel, like about 200, 250 children a year. And suddenly we were concerned about bringing children from other countries, because all the countries were in lockdown. And nobody knew how this virus would act, what its effect, how many people would be infected, and what's going to be the casualties. So there was a big lockdown in Israel and other places. And actually all surgeries, even in Israel itself, elective surgeries were canceled. And but emergency cases were still operated on. But for us in Save a Child's Heart, we were very concerned because we had our patients abroad, out of the country, and we knew that time is an essence. And in many cases, we may lose patients if they won't be operated soon. So it was very difficult for us as a medical team to know that we have patients in other places and we cannot bring them to Israel. The closest place that we had is the Palestinian Authority, but there was lockdown from the Israeli side and the Palestinian side as well. Nobody wanted to be infected, so all the borders were shut down. We tried to do our best, and I think we opened, we found a way to bring children again for treatment, but it was involving a screening before they come to Israel, screening when they come to Israel. We allocated a special wing at the children's house, and they were staying there for 2 weeks before they were screened again, and then they could come to the hospital to be treated. The one that were in severe cases during those 2 weeks, so we took all the measures and everything, and isolated the team and isolated the protected all the medical team, and we still did the operation. So I can say happily that now at the end of the year, we made a nice catch up, and we are now about 180 children as opposed to 200, 210 that we're doing every year. And we were very happy about it because, you know, to leave a patient that you know that he's going to die and nobody will treat him, that breaks our heart, really. We were involved in the COVID-19 also in Israeli patients because our expertise in Save a Child's Heart and the ECMO machine, the machine that can give oxygen to patients when their lungs collapse. So we put like 9 patients here in Israel, adult, on ECMO patient, and we saved about 50% of them. This is the success rate all over the world. So we actually, the team of Save a Child's Heart also was recruited for combating the COVID-19 cases.
Wow, it's been a tough year, but we're looking forward to getting through this, and we'll talk about what's coming up. But before we do that, can you tell us about one case? Tell our audience about one case to give us an example of what it's like for a child to come through for heart surgery.
Yeah, I think we can even connect this one case that I'm going to talk about it for the previous question about the COVID-19. We had a child from the Palestinian Authority. His name is Hamza. He's 2 years of age when he came to us, but he was operated in the Palestinian Authority. He was in an infant. There isn't any valid program of cardiac surgery there, but some missions come to a few hospitals, do a few cases and go back. And he was operated there. His life was saved at the time, but he developed a severe complication. And he wasn't taken care very well during those 2 years, and he came to us in severe condition. His great vessels of the heart were backwards, and there was a big problem there. And we needed to do a very complex operation on him. The operation was successful, but the post-operative course was very rough. And it happens to be that at this specific time, when he was in the ICU, the COVID-19 hits us all, and his mother had to go back home to her children. And because of the lockdown, she couldn't come into Israel. We continued to take care of him, and gradually we took all the lines and everything, and he was extubated. And just imagine 2 years old child lying in bed, and the only thing, the first thing that he sees a bunch of people that he cannot even recognize as people because everybody is with a mask, and he cannot see his mother, and he was like lost over there. And I think this situation just touched everybody in the team, and not only the nurses and the female doctors that have maternal instinct, but also all the male doctors and everybody. And he was like adopted by the team. I remember when I asked one of the nurses, okay, can you do this and that? And she told me, oh, I will do it in 30 minutes. I have to go somewhere. And what do you mean you have to go? Please do what I asked. He said, where do you have to go? And she says, I'm going to the mall to buy him some clothes. And the other nurses made food for him at home. We made sure by Skype video that he would see his mother every day, that he won't be lost. And when the time came to send him home, it was like a mixed feeling, you know, because all the people, all the unit felt that he's one of us, he's a child of the unit. How can he go back home? But it was really nice to have him going back home. And this is something that really...
I think you have a short video. Do you want to show us about this child?
Yeah, I would be very happy to show you Hamza and his mother and the post-operative.
This is I think a 2.5-minute video. Go ahead, Brianna. Thank you.
His name is Hamza Ali Mohammed. He's 2 years old, from the Palestinian city of Ramallah in the West Bank. After months without her, he's finally back in his mother's arms, on his way home. It's been a short ride, but a very long journey. It began in late February when Hamza was brought to Israel for life-saving cardiac surgery by Save a Child's Heart. Based at Wolfson Medical Center in Holon, over the last 25 years, this international humanitarian initiative has saved the lives of almost 5,500 youngsters from developing regions around the world. Hamza's surgery went well, but his recovery was far from routine. He spent weeks in intensive care as doctors and nurses fought to save his life. While he was on life support, his mother had to visit her other children back home in Ramallah.
And it happens to be that the coronavirus hit us all, and the lockdown was imposed on Israel from the Israeli side and in the Palestinian Authority by the initiative of the Palestinian Authority.
Weeks later, when Hamza could finally breathe on his own, his family was still stuck in Ramallah. He awoke surrounded by strangers, but not for long. The entire Israeli medical team stepped in to fill the gap, and they made sure that Hamza never lost sight of his real family.
The void was filled, and this is really amazing story, by all the staff here, the doctors and the nurses that took him as if he was their own child.
Bye-bye.
Finally, after 2 months, it was time for Hamza to say goodbye. It's only an hour or so from Holon, across the checkpoint to the West Bank. But it's been a very long time since Hamza's mother has held him in her arms. Continuing international travel restrictions are making Save a Child's Heart's work more challenging than ever. But nothing can stop this life-saving mission. Thanks to continuing support from around the world, long after COVID-19 is gone, one Palestinian child and his family will carry some lasting memories from a special place that's very close to home.
Wow, what a touching video. Wow. That's a beautiful story. So one final question for you, Lior. What are the plans for this coming year with the opening of the new Sylvan Adams Children's Hospital? Can you tell us what you see coming post-corona?
First, about the movie, I think the movie is really shows what Save a Child's Heart is about. It's not only fixing the heart of people, it's just to be a human being, to reach out, to make tikkun olam, to make a difference in this crazy world. And to do this, we needed the space, we needed the infrastructure, and we needed a new hospital. And fortunately for us, we have with us Sylvan, and with the assistance of many others, Maurice Kahn and Azrieli. We are very happy to open the new children's hospital on the name of Sylvan Adams. And this hospital will give us the opportunity to do more in terms of saving more children. Now we are saving about 250 children a year. We want to reach to about 700 cases in 10 years. And I think this is a great thing. But we know that it's only a drop in the sea, because if you just think about how many cases there are, just imagine one child out of 100 children born alive is being born with congenital heart disease. About 60% need cardiac surgery. And just imagine how many children there are in the world in Africa. So you know what we are doing is just a drop in the sea. So we took upon ourselves is also to educate others. You know, the cliche that you won't give you want to teach them how to fish and not to feed them fish every day. Once you teach them, then they can do it by themselves. And we are planning to open a training and simulation center in this great hospital that we have, that will allow us to train medical people from the hospital itself, the fellows that come from other countries, from partner countries, to be trained in cardiac surgery, because cardiac surgery, it's not only about the surgeons. Surgeons usually think that the world is spinning around them, but it's not true. We have ICU, we have cardiologists, we have perfusionists. We have a big team that needs to be trained. And if we train the doctors from the partner countries, each one of them is in his own discipline, then they can open a new program over there, as we did in Tanzania and in Ethiopia. So I think this simulation center will give us a boost and will enhance the capabilities of others. It will amplify the effect of Save a Child's Heart, and I see it one of the best things to have. Sylvan already joined me with one operation. I told him see one, do one, and teach one. So I show him also one of the simulators that we want to have. So he walked in, it's a virtual reality, he will tell you by himself, but it was very exciting for me to see Sylvan inside the big vessels coming out of the heart, and it was really amazing. So I think we have a lot of expectation of the future to make a difference for the children and for the world in general.
Thank you so much, Lior. And with that, I want to introduce our keynote speaker, Sylvan Adams. Sylvan is a Canadian-born businessman, amateur cycling champion, and dedicated philanthropist who made Aliyah to Israel, immigrated to Israel in 2016. Sylvan previously served as CEO of Montreal-based real estate firm Iberville Developments and was the sole shareholder of Summit International Bank. Since making Aliyah, Sylvan has devoted himself to serving his adopted country, and his calling card reads, self-appointed ambassador at large for the state of Israel. He'll tell you more about that. Sylvan is the only Israeli member of the Giving Pledge, an organization begun by Warren Buffett together with Bill and Melinda Gates for billionaires committed to signing the pledge to giving away the majority of their wealth in philanthropic pursuit. Sylvan is a major supporter of Save a Child's Heart and the principal funder of the new Sylvan Adams Children's Hospital at Wolfson Medical Center in Cologne, the City of Children, which will be completed in the next few months. With that, I welcome Sylvan to our discussion.
Hi, Jeff.
I'd like to start out with a question, Sylvan. Since you have all of these diverse interests, this question is, what do Messi, Madonna, Bill Gates, and the Pope have in common?
That's quite a list. Well, the obvious answer is they're all international superstars with a lot of with a great following and innovators in their respective fields. If we take Messi, for example, the greatest soccer player in the world, he reaches 230 million social media fans. So, sorry, before I tell you that, the second thing that they have in common is each and every one of these has been a contact of mine in terms of my role as self-appointed ambassador to use them and their broad reach to accomplish to show the real face of Israel. Because we're talking about Save a Child's Heart, I also like to say to show the true heart of Israel to the rest of the world. You know, Israel is misunderstood because of a kind of unidimensional media coverage that we get. They portray us as a conflict zone, and people don't have the impression of Israel as a normal, pluralistic, free, tolerant, diverse democracy and safe country. So each of these people that you mentioned, I had connections with, using them in a certain way, and their large reach. I mentioned Messi has 230 million social media fans. Well, he came to Israel and played a soccer match with his national team, which was a tremendous success. Madonna is the greatest recording star of all time. I think she sold more albums than anyone else, and she came to Israel as well to enhance the Eurovision, the 2018 Eurovision Song Contest. 2019 Eurovision Song Contest, which Israel won the right to host because we had won the contest the year before. Again, 300 million people watched Israel that night, and Madonna enhanced the event. It was the most successful one in their 53-year history because we had a major international star making a guest appearance. And, you know, maybe your American audience doesn't really know what Eurovision is. It's the most successful and important song competition in the world. And again, it got North American coverage because of the presence of Madonna. You mentioned Bill Gates. Bill Gates is a visionary and a colleague of mine at the Giving Pledge. This was a very visionary thing to dream up about getting wealthy people to commit to giving away the majority of their wealth during their lifetimes. And I think this is a beautiful thing. And I'm proud to and he knows I talk to him about Israel all the time. I'm like a nag in his ear. I'm trying to bring him for a Giving Pledge recruitment event in Israel, where we try to convince wealthy Israelis that Sylvan shouldn't be the only pledger, Israeli pledger. So we're still trying to set that up, and of course the Pope. So I had the pleasure, the privilege, the honor of meeting the Pope. The Pope is a great humanitarian. He speaks to really 1 billion Catholics, so we're showing our best face to the world. The Pope, I had a private conversation with him, and I invited him to come to Israel. He gave me a message for the Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu. And so again, he has a very favorable image of Israel, and he's a great spokesman and a great humanitarian. So it's a funny list that you brought up, but there is a connection.
And I think when Messi was here, you were able to introduce him to some of the children from Save a Child's Heart who were in the country for surgery.
So not only did we have this friendly match between the national teams of Uruguay and Argentina, I made sure that a good number of the seats were given for free. I think 6,000 we gave away to children, and we invited the kids from Save a Child's Heart to come and pose with Messi and see the star. I'm not sure, they were pretty young, the kids. I'm not sure they exactly knew who he was, but it did make for a great photo op. We were treated to a wonderful football match where again, Israel was featured all over the world.
And I know the kids were very excited. You're an extremely accomplished businessman and sportsman. What lessons for success to our audience? We have an audience of business leaders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. What lessons for success do you think can be taken from one field to the other, sports and business?
So this will come as no surprise, I think, to your successful group of supporters. If you bring passion to everything that you do, you will be successful. And it doesn't. I think that translates to any field. We listened to Lior a few moments ago talking about his work, and it's clear that Lior is very passionate and has devoted his life to this wonderful work that he's doing. So I think it starts with a passion. If you have passion, you will be successful in business. If you have passion, of course, in sport, you can transcend your physical limitations with passion and energy. So I think that these things translate very, very easily. And again, this is I don't think I'm revealing anything to your audience, because I'm sure all of them, with the success they've had, they know this firsthand.
People know it, but it always helps to be reminded that passion is what drives us to succeed and to accomplish things in life. One of the things that you do is you're a cyclist. Can you tell us about that passion, and what does it take to succeed in cycling?
I'm an amateur cycling champion. I started competing actually as an age group amateur, and I had quite a bit of success. I won the Canadian National Championship 6 times. I went to the Maccabea Games. I won 5 gold medals there, and I've won the World Championship, the World Masters Championship, a couple of times. So I've had some success in that, and it's brought me a lot of it's brought me good health, good fitness, and it has brought me really a lot of drive and meaning in my life. It's been a great ride, as we say, and it keeps going, because I've won the Israeli Championship a couple of times. We unfortunately was canceled this year due to Corona, but I hope to go and defend my titles in Israel as well.
Speaking of Corona, we've all been struggling through this last several months, and finally we see some light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccines that are coming out, and hopefully it's only a few more months, but it'll be a full year. So when you're in that last mile or that last stretch of cycling, and you're ahead of the pack, but you're exhausted, and that's the way we all feel right now. We're all exhausted from this, staying at home, and everything's closed, and life is just totally up and down. So how do you get through that last stretch of the race?
I guess it's mind over matter. I firmly believe that this is the strongest muscle in the body. We know this. We've heard stories of children who've been run over by vehicles, and their mother literally picks up a car, which is not physically possible for them to do. So this actually can transcend just about any challenge that one faces. And I think that the good athletes are those that are able to tap into their mental strength as much as their physical talents. Of course, you need a certain level of fitness and physical talent. But I do believe that this is the strongest muscle in the body. As it relates to pandemics, we're human beings. We're rational. We have to understand that the cavalry is just around the corner in the form of Pfizer and Moderna and others, and we have to hang in there. So it's been a tough year. It's been a tough year for many people, and really tragically so for so many people, and including dealing with mental health issues, and not being, we're human beings. We need to interact. Lior mentioned how it's been tough on patients that need to receive medical treatment and weren't able to do so for various reasons. They sent a lot of what they call elective surgery. It's not really elective. This is surgery. Nobody ever chooses to do surgery. It's just not immediately life-threatening, but it takes away from people's quality of life. If you need hip replacement and you can't walk, or whatever it is, it removes one's quality of life. So it's been a very, very tough year. And as I said, the cavalry is here. Hopefully we'll start to see some big changes in the coming months, and maybe by mid-year or so, this will be in the rearview mirror, and we'll remember this as a very strange and horrible year.
I think another example of passion and stamina is what these mothers do for their children that come to Save a Child's Heart. I've had a chance to visit the children's home a few times recently, and you see a mother from Ethiopia or Tanzania who's been just doing everything possible to keep their child alive. And then they have to leave their family behind to bring an infant or a young child to Israel for 3-4 months while they go through surgery. They have to live in this home with a lot of other people. And the sacrifice and dedication and stamina to go through that, to go sit in the hospital day after day, waiting to see the results of the surgery Lior and his team does, to see if the child lives or dies, and how they recover. I mean, that's also an example of commitment and passion and stamina.
And how about a call out to our volunteers in that group home, who come and, you know, they're unpaid, and they come and they devote themselves, they devote their hearts to these kids from strange lands, with parents and kids who don't have a language in common in many cases, and who come and make all of this work. And again, you know, they see this how everyone cares. This is a beautiful organization. People care. What Lior is expressing, you know, his passion really is almost to a person in the program at Save a Child's Heart, in the group home. They really care, and it shows. And these kids, they need help. And again, Lior called it a drop in the ocean. Maybe it is, but to each person, you know, it's life changing. And of course, scaling it up and training doctors in their home countries is a great way to expand the reach of this program. And imagine a day where everyone can be treated in their own facilities. So it's really beautiful work, and I admire the staff, I admire the physicians, I admire the volunteers, and if you've been going to the facilities of late, I mean, it's you see it every day, and it's humanitarian work. As I said, Lior called it Tikkun Olam, which of course it is, and showing the true heart of Israel and the Jewish people. This is our moral imperative.
Sylvan, you mentioned that you are the first Israeli now to sign the Giving Pledge. What motivated you to want to sign the Giving Pledge? I mean, you people work so hard all their lives to accumulate wealth, to, you know, you want to do good things, but to dedicate yourself to giving away a good part of your fortune that you've worked so hard to build. What motivated you to do that?
Well, look, I pretty much have everything I've ever wanted in my life. So, you know, how many things can one accumulate? I think that materialism is kind of overrated, if you want my opinion. And this idea of having a large amount of wealth, generational wealth, Warren Buffett has spoken about this, how he thinks it's a bad thing for society, that, you know, when you accumulate that much wealth, that your children and your grandchildren and your heirs don't have to work, you're not really helping them. Yeah, so at some point you have to take, you know, it's a values judgment, and of course, while you're giving it away, you know, it sounds corny, but it's better to give than to receive. It really feels quite good to give it away. And to do good work, and, you know, things like Save a Child's Heart, building this brand new, beautiful, state-of-the-art pediatric hospital. I think, you know, which is going to provide. You know, you mentioned Holon is the city of children, Ir HaYeladim, city of children. They didn't have a children's hospital. Imagine that. So now they will, and it treats. You know, there's a lot of Holon is really known as a working class kind of environment. There's no sex appeal to the Wolfson Medical Center. It really is. It really caters to the real people, to the working class people, and giving them the facilities. It makes me go to sleep and feel good at night, knowing that good work is being done. So I think it's a fairly easy decision to make. As I said, my kids will be well provided for. Don't worry about them. But I think this idea of generational wealth can actually be in some ways kind of poisonous. And we've seen, people who just never adjusted and never found value in their own lives. They never found the passion that we talked about earlier because the wealth came to them too easily. So I think everyone has to make this value judgment on their own. I am far from the wealthiest Israeli. There are many, many wealthy Israelis who've been very successful in building up technology businesses and exits, and there's also old money in Israel. And I'm hoping that I will be able to reach them. I know that Bill Gates is very persuasive. I'm trying to bring him to Israel to organize this event and make it so that I am not the only Israeli pledger, and that others find value in doing this. And it's a little bit difficult in Israel, to tell you the truth. We in North America, we grew up with this in homes that were very charitable, that were used to doing philanthropic work and bettering the community. Israel has always been, for many years, on the receiving end of things. So they didn't ever sort of realize, there was a tipping point where Israel is now, of course, a wealthy, modern country, a Western country, and I don't think that they've had the upbringing that we've had, the wealthy people of Israel. And I'm trying to set an example for them and set them a bar. And successful people are very competitive. So I'm challenging them to and this is another thing about the Giving Pledge, the ethos of the Giving Pledge, kind of challenge each other. I'm going to give this. Well, I'm going to give that. And it becomes very, it's kind of benevolent competition, if you will, that will benefit good causes. So I'm working at it in Israel. The Israelis are a tough nut, but I'm sure I'm going to get through.
Yeah, it's really a cultural change that the country's been growing and building and receiving and asking for help, and now it's time for the tide to turn. And Save a Child's Heart is one example of reaching out and helping the world, developing countries. And why would you say, what do you think is special about Save a Child's Heart that you chose that as one of your primary charities?
Well, again, listen, as I said, as Jews, we have the moral imperative to try to improve the world. It's in our DNA, it's in our upbringing, it's in our culture. And nothing exemplifies that better than Save a Child's Heart. And you see, they're working in the poorest of countries. They're bringing in Palestinians, who I spoke to Simon Fisher, who's the director of Save a Child's Heart. And I asked him, the first time I went there, I said, because it was Palestinian Day, and the kids were coming over from Gaza, and they were being greeted by Arabic-speaking personnel at the hospital. Of course, Israel has a 20% Arab minority, many of whom work in the healthcare sector, and it's easy to greet them, to speak to them, and to make them feel comfortable. And this is, of course, what they do. And I said, they've been taught, the parents of these kids, they've been taught really that Israelis are monsters. What do they think about, when they come here? Do you change their minds? And he answered me in a very profound way. He said, I'm not sure that their minds are changed, but I can tell you one thing, they leave here confused. So let's confuse them a little bit more. Let's keep showing the big heart of Israel. And as I said, for me, it was a very easy choice. Of course, I did assist in that surgery that Lior mentioned, and I was fascinated. They couldn't pull me away. It was supposed to be, you don the hospital clothing, the gown and the mask, and I was supposed to just watch it for a few minutes, and I just became totally engrossed, and I had to stay until, and the whole, they wanted to take me on a longer tour, and I had my wife with me, and they just couldn't pull me away, and I stayed there until the end of the operation. And as Lior said, what did he say? See one, do one, teach one. So I've seen one. We're still working on the doing one part. I don't know which patient will want to be treated by me, but after we do that, we'll talk about step 3 and where I joined the teaching facilities at the hospital. But it's absolutely splendid, fabulous, state of the art, cutting edge medicine that's saving lives. And again, Lior mentioned that 1% of children are born with heart defects. This is a number which shocked me when they told it to me. And without this, they will necessarily, absolutely lead shortened lives and lose quality of life in their shortened lives. This is life-saving, important surgery that touches a lot of people, and again, I'm very proud to be associated with Save a Child's Heart, and I'm proud to have my name on the hospital. It's beautiful work.
Yeah, well, as the story of Hamza that Lior told showed us, I mean, I think even more than confusion, it really is opening people's hearts to a different experience here. Well, I'd like to close with one last question. What one message can you take from the fields of business, sports, philanthropy, for the children whose lives will be touched in this incredible new hospital? What would be that one message you can take from these fields?
Yeah, I think we covered it earlier. I would say again, the passion, that the care and passion that everyone has put into this work. It transcends any field, and as it relates to the new Children's Hospital and the wonderful facilities that they're going to have there, the staff, the doctors, they exhibit that passion. They give the care and the love to those children like Hamza, and changing people's lives. So it's great work. I'm proud to consider Lior a good friend. And colleague now, because I'm, of course, now that I'm ready for my first operation. Listen, again, I can't speak enough of the values and the passion that these people bring to this wonderful work. And as I said, I couldn't be more proud than to be involved. And to your audience, many of whom are donors, thank you. Thank you for your support. You're doing great stuff. And the more money that you guys can raise, and I know that you're always trying to raise money, the more money you raise, the more outreach you can have. And now we have the size of the facility to be able to accommodate that. And again, one heart at a time, one life at a time. This is Tikkun Olam. Congratulations, Save a Child's Heart.
Well, thank you so much, Sylvan. It's very interesting, and the message that I gained from your talk is that it's not really what you end up with. It's not that end result. It's the process, and it's the experience of passion, of chasing the dream, of giving what you can and connecting with people. It's the passion that really makes a difference in life. More than what you end up with. You're mute there.
Sorry. We are all look. Our time here on Earth is relatively short, and let's make it count. So with passion. Thanks
so much, Sylvan. We're gonna close up with Ben Feder, who's our New York board member of Save a Child's Heart. Currently, Ben serves as the president of International Partnerships of North America of Tencent Games. He currently serves on the boards of a number of interactive entertainment companies, including Blue Mobile, Epic Games, Heroes Studios, and Bad Robot Games. Prior to joining Tencent in October 2016, Mr. Feder was CEO and member of the board of directors of Take-Two Interactive. He also served as co-founder, partner, and vice chairman of VMC, a media investment and management firm, board member of Columbia Music Entertainment in Japan. And prior to co-founding ZMC, Mr. Fetter was CEO of Message Click, a leading provider of voice messaging technology for next generation telephone networks, and held senior positions at News Corporation. Mr. Fetter holds a BA from Columbia University and an MBA from Harvard Business School, and he's a member of our national board. Ben, you can close us out.
Thank you. That's an embarrassing bio. I should have edited it beforehand.
Sorry.
What I'm most proud of is my work with Save a Child's Heart. I would say, look, I just want to say a few things, and I want to cover a few points for Save a Child's Heart. I think in this world of Zoom and what we're trying to, what we've seen through Zoom, the way the world gets smaller and we all get a lot more connected without having to get out of our seats. I would ask our audience to do a little visualization exercise because we're so close to each other. And sometimes you sort of say, hey, will you give to a hospital? Will you save a child's heart? Whatever it is. And if you just ask somebody, and I ask our audience to visualize one of those kids on this Zoom call and imagine, or even imagine that they're in the room with you, it would be almost impossible to say no. If they were there, right there in front of your face, it would be impossible for you to say no. And so it's not too hard to imagine that through Zoom that they're almost in front of your face. And it's not too hard to extend that to even if they're sitting in the Palestinian territories or someplace in Africa, that they're actually in the room next to you asking you for something, and something that will save their lives. And I think that's kind of a pretty powerful visualization. The other thing that I wanted to say is that something, the way I think about it, Sylvan talked very eloquently about giving. I also think about the utility of giving and how do you make your dollar go far? How do you alleviate the most suffering for the least amount of money? And on that score, I would say Save a Child's Heart is a businessman's bargain. And it costs $10,000 to cover all of the medical expenses, all of the treatment to save a child's life. If that same surgery was conducted in the United States, it is easily an order of magnitude greater than that, if not two. So, in terms of charitable dollars, in terms of changing people's lives and saving their lives, $10,000 is a bargain. If that's not compelling enough either, there are two other price points I would mention, which is, $3,500 covers the cost of accommodating a child and their mother while they go through heart life-saving surgery, and $1,500 covers the cost of transportation for the child and mother. So these are easy ways, what I would consider bargains in terms of making your charitable dollars go as far as possible when what you're measuring is alleviating suffering in this world, which is a lofty goal and a passionate goal of mine. And Save a Child's Heart, for me, and the way I got involved in it is strictly for the benefit of reducing suffering in this world. And this is an easy way to reduce suffering. Look, COVID-19 has had a devastating effect on the world. For Save a Child's Heart, it's really kind of limited the number of surgeries we could do. And there's a backlog of children who need funding and treatment. And so in addition to being a bargain, there's actually an hour of need at the moment because we've got a backlog and we've got a lot of work to do and a lot of good work to do. The easiest way to make a donation is through our website, saveachildsheart.org. I'll remind the business people in this audience, Save a Child's Heart will take stock, and at least in the United States, one of the most tax efficient ways you can give is by donating highly appreciated stock. And so I'd I'd encourage you to look at your portfolio, look for opportunities to donate appreciated stock. We're still at the end of the year. There's, you can get a benefit this year. And that I would view as kind of opportunity number one. Opportunities number 2 and 3 are really kind of related to your work. If you're an employer, please consider making Save a Child's Heart eligible for a corporate match. If you're an employee, please encourage your employer to add Save a Child's Heart to the list of approved charities. There are many ways to give to Save a Child's Heart. We're just talking about money. There's also your time and your effort. And in many ways, that can be even more rewarding. But this organization is good work. It is an unqualified force for good in a region that sorely needs it. And in terms of the type of change that your dollars can affect, I can't think of a better way to deploy them than through Save a Child's Heart, saving children, sending the right message about Israel to the rest of the world, and going home and being able to look in the mirror and feel good about what you've done with your money, and feel good about alleviating suffering in this world through Save a Child's Heart. So www.saveachildsheart.org, and thank you so much for your time and your attention and your contribution.
Thank you so much, Ben. And as far as visualizing one of the children, unfortunately during Corona, we have not had many opportunities for volunteers and visits to Save a Child's Heart, but hopefully that will ease up in the next few months. And we invite our audience, when you're in Israel, to try to arrange a visit, to come and visit Save a Child's Heart. If you have family members that are able to volunteer there, especially in the summertime or during the year, once Corona hopefully lightens up, we welcome you to come and visualize these kids in person. They're beautiful children, and it's anybody who's visited or volunteer has been moved tremendously by the experience. So thank you so much, Lior. Thank you, Ben, and our keynote speaker, Sylvan. And we're so excited about the opening of the new hospital this year. We'll have a celebration, hopefully in April or May, when we have the full opening of this new hospital. And thank you all, and thank you so much to our audience. Thanks, Brianna, for your technical support and organizing this event. And have a happy hopefully a much better 2021.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye-bye.